Hi, how are you? Welcome to my kitchen. Today, I'm really excited because the whole place is covered with fish, but it doesn't smell like fish. That is to say, I've purchased everything very fresh. And that's the way it should be. No matter where you live in the country, if you're careful, you can find a good fresh fish market. And the things that I want to cook to you today may appear a little flamboyant, but they're not. They're basic dishes from other cultures and one from our own. Dishes you'll love, because fish is one of my favorite foods, but you have to buy it fresh. And there's some basic rules for that. Joe, how do you tell whether or not a fish is really fresh?
Okay, number one is the appearance is your first thing. Eye appeal.
Eye?
You got your coloring, where it's nice and clear. It's not tainted. Your eyes are protruding.
Bulging.
Bulging,
Got it? Okay.
Right? Inside.
These haven't been cleaned.
Oh, they've been, yeah.
Oh, they have. I see.
But it's, you see, the bones are, the fish is in contact. If the fish was broke down, the bones would be
sticking up?
popping, right?
I see.
It's nice and firm.
Okay.
You've got the nice color. Yes. You look in the gills.
What do you look for?
They're not brown.
Oh, I see. Very red.
And no
very
odor.
bright. No odor. A
Right.
fish shouldn't smell like fish, huh?
It smells like fish, but it's not an offensive.
Yes, I got you.
Right.
I got you. This is a red snapper, right?
Florida red snapper.
All right. I want to use him for making ceviche. Have you ever made ceviche?
No, I haven't.
Raw fish salad?
No.
It's a classic from Mexico. I want to take some of these and go back to the kitchen right away. This dish you're going to love. Thanks, Joe, very much. Fresh indeed. Isn't he gorgeous? This is the one I'm going to use to make a ceviche. This is a red snapper. And this big fat rascal is a buffalo fish. I've never cooked such a thing, but today we're going to have fun doing them. First of all, however, I need to, before I do the ceviche, this raw fish salad, don't go away, sit down. Raw fish salad from Mexico is a beautiful thing. It's kind of pickled in lime juice, very fresh lime juice, so it'll have a good flavor for you, and it won't taste fishy at all, but you have to have the fresh fish, otherwise it'll be fishy, and nobody likes fishy anything. However, in order to get started today, I want to do a French fisherman stew from the southern part of France, from Marseille, really. And this dish is called a bouillabaisse. And you've heard about it in restaurants, and it costs something like $15 a bowl on the menu. Calm down. Make your own. You'll have much better time. It's very easy. In a 12-quart pot, I'm going to put a half a cup of olive oil. Yes, you can substitute other oils, but you know the olive oil is very important for flavor. So half a cup of olive oil. And I want to add about 3 chopped green onions, big fat ones. Yellow onions, not green ones. Yellow onions. I want to cook these down. 1, 2, that's about 3, isn't it? 3 nice onions, huh? And we need some leeks. And leeks, you remember, are a large onion. They look very much like a green onion, you see. But they're all related, of course. We're just going to chop these up. You don't have to do a lot of work on this dish in terms of preparation. It simply takes some time and some good vegetables. Into the pot they go. Beautiful leeks. They have a nice flavor, a little stronger than a regular green onion. And now we need some tomatoes. And I hate to tell you, but I have the same trouble with tomatoes that you have. If you're smart, you'll buy them ahead of time and leave them sitting on your windowsill so that they'll ripen. But these just look awful. They're just not very ripe at all, and that's my fault because I wasn't ready for it. Notice I'm not even coring these. I'm not squeezing any juice out. I'm not doing a thing. I'm simply going to whack them up very quickly and put them in the pot. Maybe I'd better tell you why I'm doing this, because I'm going to strain everything out. So I don't have to worry about what's in the pot. Pits, peels, anything but mud. Mud you can't put up with. So 4, 5, 6 tomatoes if they're small. These were small, so I'm putting in 6, you see? And we'll give that a toss here. That's looking very good. We're going to do fine here. We'll simmer that for a while. Let's put in the rest of our items here. The last thing we want to add to this first stage in the bouillabaisse, yellow onions, 3 or 4 small ones, 3 big ones. We want to use 4 or 5 leeks. We want to add about 6 small tomatoes, 5 big ones, ripe if you can, and 1 entire head of garlic. Now, when I say a head of garlic, I don't mean a clove, dear heart. I mean a head of garlic. And put the whole works in here. Just chop it up like so. You see? Want to cut it right through the center so that each clove will be exposed. Garlic is marvelous. Healing, blessings. And just use the peel and all. Remember the method here. I'm going to put this in the pot for you. The method here is simple. We're going to strain everything out of the pot. So don't worry about peels and that sort of thing. And yes, this is how they do it in southern France. There we are. Now, while that's simmering for about 10 minutes, we're not going to have time to do all of that right now, but simmer this for about 10 minutes or until the vegetables are soft. You see? Isn't that a marvelous sound? You know, it bothers me to come into a kitchen and see a weenie-wink cooker and an electric hamburger cooker and a microwave just sitting there all going, This is what I like. I like the sound of a pot going, because you can put a lot more love into a pot like this than you can into a weenie-wink cooker, I promise you. There, that's my own prejudice, but for me it's reality. Let's put together some herbs now for our dish, and I'm going to put them on a plate first so that you can see everything. Into our pot we will later add, after the 10 minutes, you see, we'll later add a head of parsley. Here it is. Got our parsley right here. These are our herbs and spices, so we want a head of parsley. You don't have to chop it up or anything. A couple of bay leaves, and we'll lay these out in a platter. Buy good bay leaves. You shouldn't buy that. Now, let's see. Now, that's a good size one. We'll put in 4 because these are kind of small. I don't want to do that. Buy good herbs and spices. It's important. And I use whole stuff generally. I don't like to use herbs that have been pre-ground for 2 reasons. 1, they're not fresh, and 2, I don't know what they put in them. I want about a teaspoon of whole thyme. There we are. That's a little more than a teaspoon, but that's always the case with me. And I want some fennel. Fennel whole in a whole seed is beautiful stuff, you see? Give me about a ½ tablespoon of fennel, maybe a shot more. I love fennel. I can't get enough fennel. If you are wealthy or if you're committed to this, you can add saffron. That's a classic dish from southern France, but I'm not going to bother with it because I can't afford it. That's all there is to it. I don't want to bother. And I don't really need it. I want a couple pieces of orange peel. I'm just going to take the peel right off the outside of the old orange. 3 chunks perhaps. That will go in with our herbs and spices. I want lots and lots of pepper, a shot of Tabasco, and finally some whole coriander seed. What did I do with them here? Now I can't find my whole ones. I'll use some powdered coriander. I have some here somewhere. Well, that's the usual day. We'll use some powdered coriander. There he is. Here it is. Now I find my coriander. See the difference? Whole coriander. Don't feel bad. That's okay. I can have both in here. See the little coriander seed? Looks like a bunch of little ball bearings. And they're just delicious. That's a very interesting Mediterranean spice. So that will go into our pot now after it's cooked for about 10 or 15 minutes. Let's check things out here. Make sure we're not going to burn the place out. Oh, it's doing fine. So in we go with all of our herbs and spices that we've mixed up. Now remember, we've missed the salt and pepper. Now be gentle on the salt because we're going to make a soup stock out of this, and we can always add salt later if you need it. But otherwise, knock off the salt. We generally put in too much. But pepper, it's impossible to put in too much pepper. I'll stand here and grind for about ½ an hour, but otherwise you pepper to your own taste, will you? And we'll simmer that for a bit, and then add the good part. And the good part consists of heads and bones that we got from our fishmonger. Please be sure these things are fresh. For a fish soup stock, there's bouillabaisse, you see, you need some stock material. And I have a bunch of heads and some backs and some bones and some skin and some tails that I picked up from my fish man. He shouldn't charge you any more than about 2 bits a pound for this stuff. If he's a nice fellow, he won't charge you a thing. I have a friend who saw me make bouillabaisse once for a meal, and she came into the kitchen just as I was doing this, putting the heads in the pot. She went into the front room, sat down with her husband, gave him a hug and a kiss, and said, "I won't eat dinner." Oh, why not? After all, bouillabaisse is a lovely thing, and there's nothing wrong with a fish head. We're going to eat the fish eventually. You see, we're going to use his body in one way. We'll add it to the soup later on. At the moment, we're going to make stock out of the head and the tail, and everything will be strained out. You won't see this. Now, to the pot, we're going to add 3½ quarts of water. How many heads and things I have? I had about 5 pounds, 3 or 4, 5 pounds, whatever you can get your hands on, you see. And then we're going to add about 3½ quarts of water. I have this all measured out. 3½ quarts of water. And we'll let that simmer now for about an hour. And then strain out everything. And when you strain out everything, by that, you know, I mean, everything you goes and everything you throw away, you'll wind up with a stock. We're going to trade kettles here on you. You wind up with a stock that is simply gorgeous. It's very, very rich. By the way, mine is nice and red, you see, because I added some tomato paste. Those tomatoes I got at the market yesterday were just really, really flat. They were a poor excuse for a vegetable. So I added just a shot of tomato paste, a couple of tablespoons. And so the bouillabaisse is now ready. Let's bring it to a boil. You would make this ahead of time. You can make it a day ahead of time if you like. And store the stock in your refrigerator. You understand what I've done now? Saute the vegetables in the pot. Then I've added the herbs and spices. And I threw in the heads and tails. 3½ quarts of water. And simmered that for about an hour. Strained everything off. And I have just a lovely, lovely batch of beautiful bouillabaisse stock. Now, what do you do to make bouillabaisse? Well, you can store the stock a day or two in your refrigerator, and then at the last minute, put it on the stove, bring it to a simmer. And when it's simmering, you can begin to throw in anything you can reach at the fish market, anything you would like, but don't use fish that's going to fall apart quickly. And try and time your fish. For instance, I found some clams. These things are just gigantic. In Seattle, we don't use clams quite this big. We would grind these up for chowder, but I'm going to try and cook a few of these and just see what they're going to be like. So let's throw these in the bottom of the pot. That should be enough. For a meal for 4 or 5 people, you see, these are awfully big clams. Let me change burners here. I'm going to move things around so I can get my biggest heat on. When I'm cooking bouillabaisse, I don't want to fool around. I want some real heat, and I want some real action. Now, this will be a little bit quicker. Okay, now the clams are going to take a few minutes to cook, so let's decide what else we want to put in there. In front of you, you see, I have some buffalo fish. I've never tried buffalo fish in a bouillabaisse, but I think we'll have fun with it. Here's a buffalo fish. Here's some fresh cod. I have some snapper I can use. Oh, look at these shrimp. Aren't they gorgeous? Look at those shrimp. And, of course, I have some crab legs. We can put all of this in our pot and simply time things so that you will know how long something takes to cook, you see. Let's cut these up into large pieces. I love a good cod in bouillabaisse. That should be enough. And let's put in a few pieces of buffalo fish. The shrimp and the crab, of course, can go in later. Let's see what's happening. That's simmering well, which means the clams have already absorbed enough heat so that they're going to be cooking soon. So it's time to put our fish in. Because the fish take very little time. You don't want to overcook it. Be gentle, for heaven's sakes. And we'll throw in these. Look at the shrimp. Look at the size of those critters. Good heavens. Is it all right to have a love affair with a shrimp? You know, I saw those at the market, and I went over and talked to them, and I said, I'm sorry, but you're going home with me. You can't stay here any longer. Not with these people. You belong to me. And some crab. Let me stir up that broth. Oh, so grand. These are the days when I wonder about how you and I are going to get together. You know, I have the table all set, and someday we're going to do it. But you have to call me first. I don't know where you're at. Just call me up and invite me for lunch, dinner. I can be there within 24 hours. I may show up, too. All right, we'll let that simmer for... By this time, we've told our guests to sit down and relax, and we're ready to go, and we're going to have a marvelous time serving bouillabaisse. And I'll show you in a few minutes how it should be served properly. But right now, a classic dish made of raw fish, and it's called a ceviche. It's from Mexico, and it's just glorious. Let me find some. Remember the red snapper that Joe showed us? Joe is at Randolph Fish Company, by the way, a marvelous place. Here's the snapper, and what I'm going to do is to cut the snapper into very thin slices, you see. Beautifully fresh fish, very thin slices, and about 1.5 pounds will go in. That's just not a sharp enough knife. I'm tearing the fish. Did you see that? You don't want to do that. Here we are. That's better. Keep your knives sharp. Keep them very sharp. There we are. That should go. We want about 1.5 pounds of fish, you see. And into our bowl, then, we're going to add an entire cup, 1.5 pounds of fish, pound of fish, of good fresh flounder, snapper, even cod will work, but this is red snapper. You're going to add an entire cup of fresh, squeezed lime juice, and that's what's going to cook the fish. It isn't going to be cooked with heat, but with acid. Isn't that a strange thing to do? But chemically, that's what we're doing. And remember, it takes a while to get a cup of lime juice out of one of these little stinky critters. But if you have a reamer, if you can find yourself a lemon reamer like this, it doesn't take very long. And you just squeeze and push, and the juice just flows. This is a marvelous device, and fresh lime juice is great. Frozen will not do, bottled will not do, forget about it. The flavor is going to be very different. Now let that sit for about an hour and a half. Got that? At the end of the hour and a half, we want to prepare some vegetables to put into our large bowl of ceviche. And we'll need a red pepper, that's a beauty, and perhaps a green pepper. And let's add, it is one ripe tomato, let's try that. And how about some green onions? I'd like a couple of green onions too. There. Now I'll chop all of this up, slice it up thin. Let me show you how to do a pepper quickly here, because this red pepper is so beautiful. See if we can find room. I love a messy kitchen because it means there's something coming on the table soon. Cut the pepper in half, and then simply pop out the core very, very quickly so you don't have to fool. Oh, look at this. Look at this. It's having children. Isn't that marvelous? Isn't nature a wonderful thing? It has no secrets. You and I are the only weird ones. Look at this. You see? The little seeds inside that have already developed into other peppers. That's the strangest pepper I've ever seen. And we'll cut the pepper then into strips. And do the same with our green pepper and cube up our tomato. Now remember, when you cube a tomato, if your knife is sharp, there will be no juice on the board. Do you understand me? There will be no juice on the board, so let's try it. See, I'm using my knife properly in that I'm going back and forth. I'm not pushing. I should have cored the tomato, shouldn't I, huh? Guess that would be proper. There we are. Now, go back and forth. You see, cube your tomato thusly. Don't push on it. And then back and forth again. You see how I saw the tomato up? And there'll be very little juice in your board, if any at all. That's fine. Okay, a tomato, a green pepper, a red pepper, some green onions. Blend all of this in with your salad. Let me get a dressing now for you. Let's get a big bowl here. And we need to make a salad dressing. But in any case, you can see what we can begin with. We have the tomato and the pepper. We'll add the green pepper and the rest of the tomato and the rest of the red pepper later on. I want you to get an idea of how the dish will look. But right now, let's make our salad dressing for ceviche. Ceviche. The salad dressing consists of 1/2 cup of olive oil. There it is. 2 cloves of garlic, smashed up. And I'm using my little favorite garlic presser here. Garlic masher. Oops, come out of there. Don't lose a clove of garlic. Good heavens. Go seek and find the lost pearl. It was really garlic. It wasn't a pearl. Who cares about pearls? But garlic is worth searching for. Don't use dried garlic, instant garlic, garlic salt. Those things are all vainly invented. They're out to get us, people who put those things in the market. Don't use them. Teaspoon of oregano. If I confuse you with recipes, write us and we'll send you those straight skinny. But this should make sense to you. 1/2 cup of olive oil, 2 cloves of garlic, teaspoon of oregano. We want 1/2 teaspoon of thyme. Classic French seasonings, really, but this is Mexican. The French love this dish, however. A lot of people eat glorious raw fish salads and raw fish. The Japanese, the Mexicans, the Chinese make a marvelous raw fish salad. And, of course, the Scandinavians eat herring and raw salmon and lovely things. That was a bit of coriander, powdered coriander, and that takes care of our dish other than some chili paste. And there are several possibilities. You can either use Tabasco, which would work fine, or I'm using a Chinese chili paste. This recipe is from a dear friend of mine by the name of Dr. William Campbell. He's a mad scientist. He climbs underneath glaciers and swims about, and then when he gets out from underneath the ice, he sits down and he cooks things like ceviche. And he likes this chili paste, China chili and garlic paste. Delicious stuff. And you can blend it into your salad so that the salad should have some oomph, should have some serious jump to it. Now let's stir that up. And then I want to show you what happens when we blend all of this together with the fish. You got the dressing now? 1/2 cup of olive oil, 2 cloves of garlic, teaspoon of oregano, 1/2 teaspoon of thyme, a teaspoon of ground coriander, a dash of Tabasco or red chili sauce. And then we're going to add pepper, cracked pepper here, to our fish. So let's put this all together now. Here's our fish. Put in a good deal of cracked pepper. Shot pepper. I was going to say a shot of cracked pepper. Okay, there's a shot. And our dressing. I'm going to use my fingers here. And finally, what I'm doing is trying to mix this very carefully so that I don't rip up the fish, you see. And then I'll put this all into our vegetables. Remember, green onions, green pepper, a red pepper, if you can find one. Now, you can't always do that every part of the year. Toss the whole works together with the dressing. And for heaven's sakes, leave the lime juice in there. That's what makes it That's what makes it delicious. There's one green onion on the loose. All right, let me get one out of the refrigerator. Then marinate this for you marinate it for an hour and a half in just lemon juice, remember? Then marinate it after you put in the vegetables and the dressing with the lime juice. Don't take the lime juice out. Marinate it again for another hour, cold, chilled, and look what you come up with. A simply glorious salad. Mine's in the refrigerator, and I'll get it out for you now. Keep towels all over the place or you'll slip and kill yourself on olive oil and peanut oil. What a good way to go. Oh, this is gorgeous stuff. Just terrific. You see? See what I have? There. And I'll very gently place this in the salad bowl just before my guests arrive because I want it cold. Very cold indeed. There we are. And on top of that, I'd like to put a garnish of perhaps avocado. Though that just adds a little, you know, flounce and hoi polloi. You don't have to do that, of course. But it certainly looks nice, doesn't it? Maybe you want to put a lemon wedge on that. It's just delicious. It's just amazing. And people will say to you, raw fish salad? What are you doing? But they'll take one taste, and that's it. You've won them. You've won them. Let me set this aside here for you. Good Lord, we're not going to have enough room. Harold, you're going to have to move over. Poor fellow. He just comes by for a party, and he winds up in the pot. I've done that in kitchens. You know, I walk over and say hello, and I wind up helping everybody cook. Let's see how we're doing here. The bouillabaisse is done. You see, it's come to a simmer. Everything is finished. Oh, it's colossal. It's colossal. How would I serve a bouillabaisse? I'll show you how I would serve a bouillabaisse. Let me get a big dipper here. I need to remind you that toast is the classic filler in France. So you might want to put a bit of toast in your bowl first for a classic bouillabaisse. Let me get a plate here so you can see this. This is how I would want it to look at my table. You put a bit of toast in first, you see, in your bowl. Now I'm going to fill this with an assortment of clams and fish, crab. Oh, anything goes. Here's a clam that's waiting for Gardot. Huh? Look at this. And oh, what else we got in here? Well, here's a bit of buffalo fish. There you are. The point is, when you bring this to the table, look at that. And I need a pinch of parsley. There. The toast is in the bottom, you see. That's one of the best parts. There. I'll set this out on the table for you now, and you can enjoy this. No, I would not serve ceviche and raw fish salad all at once. That's not the point. I would serve these separately. A plain green salad would go best with the bouillabaisse, and certainly a lovely glass of white wine. The ceviche is a meal in itself. And you can have a glass of Chablis with this, and perhaps a little green salad too, because it's very, very... And you can enjoy this. No, I would not serve ceviche and raw fish salad all at once. That's not the point. I would serve these separately. A plain green salad would go best with the bouillabaisse, and certainly a lovely glass of white wine. The ceviche is a meal in itself. And you can have a glass of Chablis with this, and perhaps a little green salad too, because it's very, very rich. Let me show you one other thing that you can do with this beautiful stock that we have. I'm going to... Oh, you didn't get any shrimp. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Here he is. There we go. Now you're set. I want to show you about when you have the leftover stock, this is really the best thing ever. I would do this in a saucepan and warm it just gently. But look what I'm going to do. Put a bit of the stock in the bowl, and I'm going to add some cream to this. Whipping cream. Whipping cream? Come on, Frugal Gourmet. Well, now and then you have to blow the old butterfat count and serve this. Oh, I want to stop right now and taste. Serve this with a bit of parsley on top. Look at the oil. That's not from butter. That's olive oil and the oil from the fish. Isn't it beautiful? Nothing goes in this now except a bit of parsley. And if you're really into it, you can put a bit of shrimp toast in the center and serve a bisque from France. You see? Beautiful. All right, let's figure out the spot here. Have you got that? Now, I want to talk with you about one other thing you can do in your kitchen, and that's to poach fish It's easy to do, but you really need a fish poacher, and it's so flamboyant. The costs are really very high. But on the other hand, if you want to cook properly, why, it's worth your time to invest in these things. This great big one here can you see this? I'll get the bread out of the way. This great big one is brought in by from Europe. It's made of stainless steel. It's brought in by the Ruoco company. It cost about $70. So I said it, $70. Isn't that awful? But look what you can do. Here's a salmon. Come on, baby. Just come right out of there. Here's a salmon that I poached. Can you tell there's only half of the salmon there? I'll show you a sneaky thing that I've done. You see, whoops, I've lost him. Well, anyhow, he's back in the pan now. But let me show you what I did with him. Because I poached the whole fish. And it takes just a few minutes. I've given you the recipe for poaching. A normal broth, tiny bit of vinegar and lemon juice to hold him. And then I took half the salmon off the bone, and I'm going to chop this up for a salad. And you see how moist this fish is? Oh, it's simply heaven. You know where salmon comes from? My front yard, that's where. It belongs in Seattle. We have the best salmon ever, and most of this salmon that you find in the rest of the country comes from my neighborhood. And we eat salmon night and day. Anything but canned salmon. That you shouldn't bother with. But this would make a great salad, or you can mix it with cream cheese and make a marvelous dressing for crackers, that sort of thing. Poached fish is very, very moist, and once you get by the investment in a poacher, you're set. You can buy poachers in aluminum, but I feel more secure with stainless steel. But it is costly. In any case, today we've celebrated fish with a flair. I've made a ceviche for you from Mexico, raw fish salad, a bouillabaisse from France, a French bisque with a bit of whipping cream in the bouillabaisse stock, and finally a little poached fish that's terribly versatile. You can do anything you like with it, and you'll have a good time enjoying fish. Remember, the clue for buying fresh fish is simple. It must smell fresh. The eye must glisten. It must be bright eye. You see old George here, he looks gorgeous. Finally, you see him how lovely his eye is? He looks grand. So does Harold. Finally, when you look under the gill, it's a bright red. It's not a dark brown. And inside the body is firm and nice. Then you'll feel secure. That's what we have for you today. Fish, and I want you to buy it and enjoy it constantly. Until we're together again then, this is the hungry Frugal Gourmet. I bid you peace. Bye-bye.